Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm working at the IIT department. I started working at ALDI in January 2018. We are working with people from everywhere of the ALDI world, as we have experts everywhere.
Hello, good morning. It's 5:40 and I'm waiting on my taxi to be picked up before the airport. Looking forward to my business trip to Chicago. Up, and away.
Hey, welcome to Chicago.
Really feels great to be part of such a big team because we have all the different experts for all the different areas who are also contributing to the success, and which also gives you a great opportunity to learn and work with those experts.
What I experienced within my career at ALDI is that your work is valued. You get a lot of feedback. You can rely on your colleagues, even in challenging times that are normal within every company.
So I'm definitely motivated by shaping our business into the next generation of how we do our retail business, new technology which supports our new processes. It feels really great to be also part of that journey.
Hi everybody and welcome to our live stream series ALDI Deep Dive Live. You are here with ALDI South IT at our very own TV studio in Mülheim. I'm Jessica from the communication team and I'm your host for today. As ALDI South IT, we are still far from perfect when it comes to agile working methods, but we are on our way to become one of the best agile organizations in the international retail industry. And this is exactly why it is so exciting to work here. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's live stream called Agile by Nature. And here are my two colleagues, Marcella and Julian. But just a quick note before they will introduce themselves. Don't hesitate to ask any questions or share your thoughts in the chat, as we are here to make this experience as informative as possible for you. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get this live stream started. So, Marcella and Julian, please introduce yourselves and yes, let them know what is your job at ALDI South IT.
Yes, I maybe start. Thank you, Julian. So I'm Marcella. I'm Senior IT Consultant and also the Change and Communication Lead for Buying Goes Agile. I've been with ALDI now for 3 years and started out in a different area where I was mainly focusing on the waterfall approach. So I was implementing waterfall frameworks within the buying organization, and roughly 1 year ago I changed to the Buying Goes Agile initiative, and now I'm working on the agilization within the buying organization. Before that, I've been working in several IT consultancies, and my specialization there was always the project management part, especially regarding methodologies and implementing processes and stuff like that. And I was so excited when hearing that I was invited to that round, and I'm especially looking forward to the interactive part with the audience later on when we receive the questions from the chat. So thank you for having me.
Yes, we are grateful that you are here today with us. Well, and Julian, what's your job here?
I'm an IT manager here at ALDI. I've actually joined ALDI about 10 years ago. Roughly 10 years ago, we introduced or set up the first Scrum project here at ALDI to set up or introduce the produce tendering platform, which is a buying platform with which we buy our fruits and vegetables. Before that, I've been working in a small company that built online marketing solutions. I worked there as a software developer and project manager. With the move to ALDI, I switched to side, customer view, more project management focus. And in my free time, as my hobbies, I try to spend time with the family as much as possible, and if time allows, then also do some gaming at the PC.
Yes, thank you. We will talk later more about your first Scrum project. But yes, first of all, let's be honest. How agile is ALDI South really? I mean, right now.
I think there is no single answer to that question. So within our organization, we have teams who are at various degrees of agilization. So we have teams, for example, Julian, and I guess he will elaborate on that in a sec, which have joined this path many, many years ago. And then we have teams or units, entities, which basically just recently followed that path. And we have many, many, of course, units who are still to come. And therefore, there is not really this single agilisation path we are currently following, but the overall vision that is now really the focus within ALDI is have an overarching view on the agilisation and bring everyone to the same page at some point.
So what do you think?
Well, as Marcella mentioned, there's a lot of teams and actually also departments who are very successful in utilizing Agile as their tool set to bring solutions to our end customers. In that sense, we're kind of in a hybrid state or phase already, and the logical next step would be for the whole company to actually evolve and make this an overall approach and success.
Yeah, and what do you think? What is our mission in terms of agilization?
So I think basically it's a lot about agile mindset. It's not just applying agile methodologies and have everyone being able to write user stories and prepare their backlog. It's a lot about a cultural change as well. And I think that is the biggest mission that we have. Because ALDI did not join that path on a whim. It was really like an intentional decision to go that way because we have an environment now we need to operate in which really demands the agile way of working. So it's very volatile. You have so many new demands coming on every day, and we really want to cater towards that. And therefore, we really need to set up on one hand the framework and basically upskill the people. On the other hand, we really need to promote the mindset to have a whole culture within ALDI that is really living the spirit of agility.
So if I would say that the current situation is like that we combine the best things of two worlds, would that be, well, would that fit?
Well, definitely you need what is classical setups like Marcella mentioned, waterfall approaches, regular project management. But on the other hand, you also need the agile setups to drive these, especially VUCA world affected topics forward in a way that we are able to have shorter time to market, have a higher customer focus, things like that.
So let's talk about agile initiatives. Are there some initiatives that you've been involved to?
Yeah, there's a lot basically. So as I said in the introduction, I'm part of Buying Goes Agile. So I'm focusing within the buying organization on like enabling the people to follow that agile path. What we are working very closely, cross-functional, cross-organizational with various entities that are working on that. So our colleagues from stores are on that path, from data analytics, from supply chain management, from customer interaction. But basically you see there are a lot of satellites who are working on that right now. And we really want to come like on a regular basis together and see at what stage we are currently at. But there's also a dedicated entity within ALDI that is solely focusing on agilization. We call that the Agile Center of Excellence. And this is really a unit of experts within the Agile realm, let's call it like that. So these are mainly agile coaches, and they help the entire organization with trainings, with mentoring, with really going into the dailies and help them really set up the agile structure. So you see there are a lot of initiatives putting their energy towards making ALDI agile at the end of the day.
Yeah, you mentioned our colleagues from stores. We talked with them on Wednesday, and well, they talked about a store with 400 cameras. And I think that's the perfect timing right now to introduce my colleague, Luis. He will be running around here, and he has the mobile cam for our Instagram viewers. So hi to all of you, and to all our other viewers, don't be, irritated when he comes into your view. And yeah, he's just checking out the best angles for Instagram. Okay. Yes, and you, Julian, you mentioned the first Scrum project here. I mean, it was 10 years ago, and I think you can talk a little bit about that and tell us more. How was the situation, and how did you, take that first approach?
Well, it was a definitely different time at ALDI. We are a very classical company, or conservative company in that sense. At the time when I went into the office, I was wearing a suit and tie, and we would formally address the higher-ups. The communication across ranks was not directly possible. There was means to achieve that, but yeah, that was hurdles that were given at the time. However, we got the backing from our senior management to actually, get rid of these. And looking at ALDI today, there is a lot of cultural change that has already happened. Like, it's totally normal to just say you to everyone that you meet on the floor, be it your managing director or just your colleague, of course, which is normal. And from the clothing side, well, look at us, or look at me specifically. You look very good, to be honest. I'm like more casual at the moment, but it's completely fine to not wear shirt and jeans or something like that.
Yeah, and I think it's really representative of the spectrum that you apply. You have basically really casual clothing, and you have people who want to have more formal approach. That's up to them, basically, however they feel comfortable throughout the day.
Yeah, we too just dressed up for today.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Usually I'm team hoodie as well.
I mean, you got the same hoodie, right?
Of course I have.
Yeah, that's your work uniform.
Yeah.
So I received a question from YouTube about, from YouTube and our job ads, because we are streaming live on our job ads as well. How is the status quo? How is the status quo regarding OKRs at ALDI South?
So maybe I jump into that because within the buying organization, it's not really a thing yet, to be quite honest. But however, it really caters towards the Scrum methodology, which we are currently implementing and applying. And it's really a happy marriage of these in theory. And therefore, different organizational units already applying these OKRs, so objective key results. And it really helps you to tackle the strategic part. So the Scrum is really about the operational part. And if you combine that with OKR, you can really focus on the strategy as well, and therefore you have the broader picture.
So, I mean, just to picture it for myself a little bit better. So the different units here at ALDI South IT are on a different, step in a way of agilization, right?
Exactly, and also regarding which methods they apply. Usually when people think about Agile, they always visualize Scrum, but there are a lot of different methods you can apply. You can have FDD, Fluid, Extreme Programming, OKRs are very valid in that area. And of course, we want to have a general framework that is applicable across the units. However, it's at their own discretion which kind of bits and pieces they put together and amend the core framework. Let's call it like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know any other methods than only Scrum, but I'm not an IT professional. I think that's okay. But I guess our viewers would have understand you and all the methods you talked about. Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully.
I'm sure.
I know that Julian's team is also applying other things besides Scrum, so it's really common to really pick whatever is suitable for your setup.
So which methods do you use in your team?
So we definitely started off with Scrum, as I think was quite obvious from my introduction. I've also introduced DevOps methodologies and also technology, which is another very important part of this whole agilization. Like, methodology is only one part. Mindset is also very important, but without technology, you're just not able to live it potentially. So Scrum DevOps, we also have a test-driven development derivative in action at the moment, which is behavior-driven development. And there's, of course, other things that you pick from Kanban. OKR, we got trainings recently, so you pick your stuff which you need to actually evolve how you work. And this is, it's a 10-year-long journey. We don't work like 10 years ago now.
So you basically also try out new methods and decide which method would be working best in a new project. Yeah,
why not? Of course, if you find new things that are worth trying out, come up with a thesis, come up how you want to try them. If needed, get help from the ACOE or from external partners, from people in the company that already have made this experience or are knowledgeable on that matter, and then just take the team on the journey, try it out, and see what the results are.
Yeah. And I think that's the fun part, basically, to be able to experiment and see what works for you. It's not like one size fits all. So one team, for example, really is applying a certain method and it works for them, but maybe in a year they revise that and they see, oh, okay, we are at a different point in time, we have new requirements, and they start screening for other methodologies. Yeah, and basically looking left and right and see what other teams did and learning from that. That would be the overall vision we are overall trying to achieve.
Yes, and we got another question from a user from YouTube. I think that question fits your statement quite well. And he or she is asking, how do you approach the implementation of new ideas in the Agile setup?
Maybe I answer that on a strategic level, because I'm not working on an operational part. That was more Julian's game. But of course, we are applying the Scrum methodology, and we are using basically a lot of workshops. We really bring the team together and gather the ideas that we had. And of course, as I already said, we work a lot cross-functional and get inspiration from other teams. So we have monthly alignments with stores, with data analytics, with customer interaction, and really challenge ourselves and see what they are doing and share what we are doing, because it's a lot about sharing as well. It's not like keeping the knowledge to yourself because you said, oh, I had the amazing idea, I want to keep it myself and get the credit for that. That's not the case. It's really have a collaborative view on that and really sharing ideas, and that really brings the best solutions at the end of the day.
So yes, actually, even though you are working in a different unit than me, we are a big team, yeah?
Exactly.
We are a big team, and I really love that here at ALDI SOUTH IT that we always try to collaborate with colleagues from different units, and yes, especially for the agile transformation, that's, well, just important, right? And why is an increasing number of areas adopting right now that agile approach? I mean, what added value does the agilization provide?
So as Marcella already mentioned, we are living in a VUCA world. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity are things that are surrounding us at the moment. And these kind of things, they lead to adopting these agile setups. Only with these, in a lot of cases with only these, you are able to actually kind of address these challenges in that way. Looking at our own area, if we wouldn't have the agile setup that we did start 10 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to keep up with the development that the produce business has shown over the last couple of years here at ALDI. We wouldn't have been able to provide an adequate solution to them and to support them during that time frame.
Yeah, because we are the service partner for our business, for our stores, and they need solutions from us.
Exactly, and Agile facilitates this customer centricity. So it's really not the luxury we had in the past where everything was defined and everyone knew what was happening. It was now new demands come basically, as I already said, on a daily basis. We have to look at our competitors and really don't want to basically follow the change, but lead the movement. This is what we are aspiring at that moment. And Agile has been around for many, many years. However, if we really look into the market and really look into global organizations, global corporations, not that many really have applied Agile ways of working yet. So a lot of still are stuck in the old ways of working, and this is where we come in. And this is where we really have the chance to really, as I already said, lead the movement and not be the one who is chasing after others.
So what do you think? What will cooperation in IT will look like in the future?
Well, in an ideal world, we would have cross-functional teams that build and run our solutions. And these teams would be then supported by platform teams and enablement teams who have, who provide the tooling, who provide the services to support these value-adding product teams as best as possible. And as I said, it's also something where technology plays a huge role. There's a very good example already at the moment available in the company. Our infrastructure colleagues provide us, for example, the cloud environments for developing and also running the production environment, providing monitoring and logging services so that we do not have to look after these things, just consume them, adapt them, configure them, and utilize them to how we need them.
So, which are the agile approaches that ALDI SOUTH IT is currently following?
So as we already said, Scrum is basically the main methodology, because it really makes sense. As I already said, you apply the methodology based on the circumstances you're facing with. And for Scrum, it totally makes sense if you have an environment where you can facilitate close collaboration with your client, with your customer, which is basically our business. It's not the person who is shopping in the stores. It's basically those who have the requirements and who have the look to really have run the store smoothly. And this is one of the main reasons Scrum is totally cool and working. And we are also having a movement regarding co-location now. So we really want to have the team sit together and work on that together. And Scrum is really, really good to apply these ways of working.
So maybe just to make something clear, when we talk today about customers, we mean our business. We mean the solutions that our colleagues for the business need in our stores. And when we talk about products today, we don't mean the apple and the bananas in our stores. We mean the IT solutions. We call them products. So, and yes, the agile working methods are very product orientated.
Exactly, and this is also part. We are not following an agile path, but we're also restructuring the organization to have a product-driven approach. In the past, we have basically been looking at IT solutions, at IT services, and now we're looking at the products and really like restructuring the whole organization to really facilitate agile ways of working, because you can't really work agile in a corporate structure that really doesn't promote that.
So, and if you have the product, and yes, I got another question, so that's why I'm just taking the introduction to it. Do you have contact to markets or countries to implement and gather feedback on new features quickly?
Yes, definitely. Like user-centric product development is what is required in this setup. What makes the most sense. This gives you the biggest advantage. And looking at when we are now with the product that we have and operate for our customers in the countries. The customers in the countries are, for example, in our scenario, the buying departments in the US, in Germany, in Great Britain, in Australia. And here we have working modes where, for example, meet like on a 3-weekly basis, which is our sprint length, to take a look at the newest version that we provided with the last sprint, discuss current strategic topic, discuss current operational topics, anything that just pops into mind, and to move and evolve this product forward.
And do you test the product beforehand? Or what is the process?
Well, definitely, testing is a very huge part of making sure that software quality is how it should be. And I think, looping back to what I earlier said, technology plays a big role. For agile setups, you definitely need something like test automation, otherwise you'll just die in regression test efforts in that sense. So the main purpose of the key users that we have in the countries and the different business units is to take a look at what new functionalities have been delivered with the sprints, but they do not need to test like what we had delivered like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. Make sure that it still works. This is something that test automation should do. Test automation should ensure the software product that's coming out of the sprint is actually a potentially shippable increment. So we could put it into life.
Okay, interesting. I think I should join some sprints and some Scrum things in your teams. That's really interesting. And when we talk about that IT jobs are becoming more and more agile these days, so what skill sets will be needed in the future?
So we really want to have those people who are not only having the agile methodology put together. It's like, of course, we need those people. We need product owners. We need Scrum Masters. We need agile coaches who really can follow the methodology and really help the teams apply them respectively. But we also need those people who really convey the agile mindset. We really want those people who breathe and live the whole agility. It's really, on one hand, quite a demanding process Let's be honest about that. And the waterfallish approach, it was a little bit easier to be honest. You had a project manager and he told you what to do, when to do, to which extent you should do it. And now you have much more autonomy. But you need to be self-organized and you need to be able to communicate with various stakeholders and not really work in silos. And this is quite an interesting role. It's a challenging role, but it's also so much fun because you have really like entities across various countries you're working with. You're working with basically all hierarchies across. There's not really the hierarchy which we know basically from the path where you had to report to your manager, who reports to the senior manager, who reports to the director and stuff like that. We really want to break down these hierarchies and become much more leaner, and therefore your self-organization, and you really need to step up your game and become present and become vocal about your vision. And this is demanding on one hand, but it's also really the fun part of it.
Yeah, and what do you think, Julian, as a manager and as a team lead, what kind of skill sets do you need in your team?
Well, in order to be able to deliver and operate your product, there's definitely cross-functionality required. So next to the product owner, the Scrum Master, you definitely need people like business analysts, you need people like cloud and DevOps engineers, test managers, UX and UI experts, all these kind of people and skill sets that ultimately bring you into the position that you're able to build and run the product.
So yeah, cross-functionality, I think it's the keyword here, right?
Yes.
We don't want to have silos anymore because there's nothing more empowering, nurturing if you basically work across borders. You don't really just think within your product. You really have to look right and left to see what they are doing and to have basically an overall concept that works across the entire organization at that point.
Yeah, great. And I saw a question on my screen again, and that question was about if we push the agile concept of working also in different countries, in our other ALDI countries.
So we have dedicated concepts for that, to be honest. So I want to clearly state that there is really a commitment towards agilization. However, it's a process. We're not doing that basically overnight. And you really need to include people in the process. And this also includes the countries as well. So for example, for buying, we have a dedicated country involvement concept where we really showed them what is happening and what's in for them, because we really wanted to sell the idea to them as well, and also provide upskilling. So provide them with Agile basics training, for example, so that they know the terminology and know what is happening in a sprint review, for example, and what is their stake within the different ceremonies. This is super important because they are the ones who basically need to sign off at the end of the day what we're delivering with them, and we really want to work closer with them. It's not like they're somewhere in Australia and we were doing our thing here and at the end of the day we just push it over there. It's really like a very close collaboration we are currently focusing on establishing. But it's a journey. We're not there yet, but we're very keen to follow that process.
Yeah, you were talking about a process. I think it's more a journey. Actually,
it's a nice visual for that. I like that as well. It's a pathway, it's a journey. Yeah.
So yeah, and speaking about that journey, why would you say that ALDI South is a perfect employer for agile experts? Well, even though we don't work entirely agile yet.
Maybe I start because I think all we said basically previously shows that this is really an exciting time to start at ALDI. So you become one of the pioneers to apply these agile ways of working. Although, as we already learned, there are some entities who have been working on that for several years. On an overarching scale, this is really now where the fun is happening. And we're all game for that, and therefore we really love to attract more people who have agile expertise and who really want to drive the change with us. And how cool is that at the end of the day that I will be able to say that I was one of the key figures who was able to implement agile ways of working in one of the most exciting key players in retail industry in the world.
And on the other hand, to look at the beginners as the starters into their working career and the people which are already here at ALDI. Of course, there will be measures in place to upskill them. Our ALDI Academy offers different basic trainings. We've got the ACOE that helps you with growing into the roles, and of course, for each and every one of the employees at ALDI, there's also the possibility to look out for other solutions or offerings of training or fairs that actually move you forward in your evolution, in your development, and bring you up to speed to what is required.
So yeah, just to sum it up. So if you join ALDI right now, you can make a change in the whole process of agilization. And even though you're still feeling like you need more knowledge and everything, you can have some trainings here. You can make your certificates here and also, visit other courses and trainings, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So I have to say, ALDI put a lot of investment into that, into upskilling the people. So we have a broad variety of trainings which are offered, and we're starting with the Agile basic training to basically bring everyone on the same page, and then really specialized training like PO, Scrum Master, Scrum for Developer, and also the leadership. So everyone needs to be included in that journey, and training is a central part of that, for sure.
Yes, and you meant the Scrum Master education program. Do you know some colleagues that did this? So are there many colleagues of us that joining that program and are right now in that role of a Scrum Master and anything?
Well, basically, the Scrum Master we have in our team is part of that journey. So he's the one who is one of the basically pioneers in that area as well. And there's a lot of demand for that. So we could basically have a kind of a wait list, and a lot of people are interested in that because it's really a cool program. So on one hand, you have really the education according to industry standards. So you get the Scrum education, get the Scrum certification, but the Agile COE also providing mentorship across many, many months, and really providing work shadowing, and really are present and helping you become part of the team and apply your work as a Scrum Master as it should be. And it's really exciting to have our colleague there and see how he evolves in that area, and it's a lot of benefit for us as well to really have a dedicated person who is in a such structured program, because the upskilling, the learning curve is immense. It's really every day you see changes, and it's like really, really exciting. And I'm very happy that ALDI came up internally with that program. So it's not about just giving them external trainings. It's also about how ALDI tackles Agile and how Agile works at ALDI.
Yeah, so it's not only a good chance for you professionally, but also for you personally, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And even though the colleagues in your team, they will also have some benefits and learn something new. I think that's always a good point. I mean, I'm here at ALDI and I learn every day something new. Like I'm here with you right now, and I'm learning a lot about Agile methods and anything. So
happy for you to join one of the sprints.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will come. I will send you an invitation on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
you
take
will
care
hear
of
from me. I will call you up. So yes, coming back to products, I got a question here from LinkedIn. Defining a product is a big challenge. What is your approach to define the product?
Do you want to take that? Because this is I don't know. It's like when you look into Marvel universe, this is this is the challenge you have at the end of the day that you have to tackle. Yeah.
Well, definitely. It requires a lot of domain knowledge. Like, in order to define what products you need to know what do we do on a day-to-day basis? What is the end-to-end process? What can we put together? What makes sense to put together? Where do we have dependencies between different products? What group of end customers do we have? So at the moment, I wouldn't say there's this one process that you can take or do to actually come to a solution on that, but you rather have like a more natural, evolving process behind it to kind of come up with how and what the products look like.
So it's not like that you will stand up tomorrow and in the morning you have an idea, okay, that's a product that we need. So it's rather more a process.
Exactly, and basically the approach is very different across the units. So stores had a very different approach on defining their product split than we had at buying, because when you look at stores, they just looked at the value chain, basically, how the customer enters the store, how he runs around the store and puts everything into his basket, and then he's at the checkout. With buying, that's a whole other world. You have the whole SAP landscape in the background, which you need to be considerate of. So a lot of interfaces and stuff like that. So you really need to tackle that from a different angle. So there's not really that one single recipe on how to create the perfect product. You really need to look really on the setup within your entity and then find the solution that is most feasible, I would say.
So it's a lot about details.
Oh.
How can I imagine it? You know, I don't get in touch with your things that you do at work. So
what always helped us a lot in defining the product vision is having this direct exchange with the end user. Listen to them, understand what they do, what are their challenges on a day-to-day basis, and based on all of these different discussions and communication and collaboration that you had, the good DPO will be able to derive the necessary product vision, and with that also looking one step or one level higher. With that, you're able to also then cut what products you need, what the portfolio might look like. These are the things that you need.
okay, I hope that answered the question from YouTube. So, I have to change my card right now. Okay, and I see another question from YouTube. How much freedom on self-organization do teams have? For example, given the duration of sprint iterations.
That's completely up to the team, and maybe some outside factors. If I've got a product that's highly integrated into SAP, I have to look out for what I'm doing because it needs to work overall. Yeah? And if I'm able to have implemented, if my product is loosely coupled, I might be able to even do weekly sprints and potentially make use of continuous deployment in that sense and provide every sprint version into the production system or even every code commit.
So every product and every sprint is seen on its own. So
you need to consider who is your neighbor, who you're dependent on. Yeah.
Okay, but that what works exciting, right? It's not that every day is the same.
Exactly, new experiment. We started out with 2-week sprints, then we changed to 3 weeks because it made more sense in our area. Maybe we will change back to 2-week sprints length. It's like at our own discretion.
Yeah. And when we come to the corporate culture, and I mentioned it, that not every day is the same day. So how will the company-wide agile transformation will actually affect the corporate culture? Do you have an idea?
I think a lot, to be honest. So we have these people basically who really need to tackle that. We have this hybrid approach still, and we will have that in the future as well. So we don't need to promote the illusion that there won't be like waterfallish entities needed in the future. Of course, we want to have a stable business model. We want to really have a sustainable business model. And even the Teslas and the Googles and Alphabets of these worlds, they don't just think in 2-week sprints, of course. They need to have a long-term vision as well. And you really need to basically communicate to the people on an operational level. You work agile, however, you are working also in a long-term perspective to the overall goal of the company. And really, like, having everyone join this journey is now what makes the corporate culture really the challenging point at that part, but also the one who's like, this is exciting, I guess.
Yeah, and how would it be for me as an employee?
So it's a lot about communication and change management, of course. So it's, as I already said, it's not like happening overnight. So you have a lot of people who've been with ALDI for many, many years, and they worked in a certain setup, and now they need to apply new roles, for example. We didn't have a PO on a global scale for a very long time, and now people who have been working in a certain setup need to familiarize themselves with this role. Scrum Master, the whole feature teams. You really have to embrace these new roles, and of course the company needs to help you with that. And this is why we really have a dedicated path. And for buying, for example, we have a roadmap planned, and we have the teams basically lined up, and every team will have individual mentoring, coaching, and really working on them with the new role concept and how to apply the agile ways of working so they don't get overwhelmed with that. But of course, we need also their motivation, their commitment to embrace these new agile ways of working. If you are stuck in the past, that's not going to work.
Okay, so just to put it in a metaphor, Julian wore 10 years ago still student tie, and then there was, well, the go live of Come As You Are. So, and I think, I imagine it that it wasn't like that you just came in here with a hoodie and a jeans. I think it was more a process.
Yes, it was gradually. Of course, you also should make use of the suits until to a certain degree, right?
They were
To be
expensive.
sustainable in that
Yeah.
sense, yeah. And then gradually, of course, it moved to a more casual look all around the campus.
Yeah, I think that's just how I imagine the process of agilization for employees of, well, change is not from tomorrow. I mean, it's not from day to day. It's just a process, and you're just living with the change, right?
Exactly, and this is why when we started out with Buying Goes Agile, the first thing we did was do an extensive stakeholder analysis and really see who are the target groups we are focusing on. And of course, in a global transformation, everyone is part of the target group, but you need to really find the right communication channels to really put them on the journey so they feel involved, they feel committed to the cause as well. It's not like really top down. Basically, you really need to have people like change from bottom up as well. And therefore, you don't have to overwhelm them. You really need to, take their hands, take them along the way in little bits and pieces. However, always make sure that they know the purpose, the why. Why are we doing that? That's really, I'm always citing Simon Sinek with the golden circle, but this is really true. If you communicate and convey the why you're doing that, it's when the people become excited and become involved. If you can't really communicate that, then you lose them along the way.
Yeah, and we still need some role models like you.
Thank
who
you.
are living the
Thank
agilization,
you.
right?
I can confirm that.
Yeah, for sure you are. So how would you retain a great culture and keep the turnover down while the transformation? That was another question that I got here on my screen.
Yeah, that's a challenging part. I think you have to live with some people you are losing along the way, because you can't force that really on them, but really being transparent, being open with the communication, and really telling them why, as I already said, why you're doing that, how you are doing that, and what kind of measures you are implementing. And of course, training, upskilling is really, really a big part. You can't expect from somebody to apply new agile ways of working if we have never have done that in the past. And just leave him at that and say, you can watch 2 YouTube videos and then you're good to go. That's not working. You really have to put in the effort, the investment, and really convince the people that this is also beneficial for them. It's not just for the company. They will grow with that as well.
Yeah, and do it continuously, right?
Absolutely.
I guess Marcella already made a very important point here. She mentioned that it's something that needs to happen bottom up as well as top down.
True.
If you have both directions, you're most likely set on a good path already. It is true there will be people who do not like it. That's completely true. But in the end, this will be, I think, part of the success if you have this set up.
Yeah, and how is the acceptance for agile ways of working by the management?
Well, as we've told you, there's teams already who are working agile. There's whole departments that are working agile. So it's seen as as a beneficial setup that you would want to use for the challenges that we face. And there's also where it makes more sense. There's still the classical approaches like waterfall model and regular consulting and then project management in that sense. So each and everyone on a daily basis definitely is looking at what makes the most sense for me, my setup, the situation that I'm in, the challenges that I'm facing. And if I need to change how I work today, this is something I can bring forward and discuss. If I can make myself heard, I can define how I would be working and the why behind it. Then in a lot of cases, in most cases, I'm able to actually get these changes implemented.
I think the why is more important than the how.
Absolutely. This is where basically you start. This is what we did when we came up with the vision for Buying Goes Agile. We really dove into the nitty-gritties on why we are doing that, really defining the purpose of it, and then really said, okay, how are we going to do that, and what kind of measures we are using for coming with the vision to life.
Yeah, and I get a lot of questions on my screen here, so I think it's the official Q&A session right now. Cool. Because I just ran out of my question here, so that's why I'm very thankful for questions from our viewers. So what is the plan to manage change for agile methods? What's still needed from a change management perspective?
So I guess on one hand, you really have to establish standardization to have really similar approaches across the organization. On the other hand, you really only need to give guardrails. It's not like really a corset you give the people. You give them a playbook. We call that a playbook. We have basically a framework which is based on Scrum, and we really try to educate the people on that, and this is part of the change process. It's like upskilling them in really the methodologies, and this also gives them an insight on how the agile mindset is working as well, because when you're part of daily Scrum meetings, if you're part of sprint reviews, and you make that much more open to the audience, it becomes much more visible. It's so easy for the teams really to get a gist on what is happening, and really looking across borders and what other teams are doing, because you don't really do that basically in a confined area. You basically share this information with everyone, and this is really setting an example for those who are yet to come. This is really helpful regarding change management.
So yes, you are working as an agilist from the strategic point of view, so actually you're working also in change management.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Buying Goes Agile has different areas they're tackling, so the agile methodologies, the training, but also change in communication, of course. And as I already said, we really took a close look at the stakeholders and really analyzed what kind of needs they had and what kind of communication they needed. And we really changed our communication approach as well. So it's, as Julian already said, it's not top-down anymore, and it's a two-way communication we tried to facilitate. It's really not just pushing information and everyone is getting an email on a monthly basis on what is happening in the organization, but it's really providing a variety of information, and people are able to pull them themselves. We use new tools for that. MS Teams, for example, is a great way. SharePoint information, videos we are producing, open door session, mentees. We had a lot of basically formats and tools in place to really showcase that Agile is not just written on the paper, but it's a living thing, and we're really applying that in our tooling as well.
Yeah, and you're giving the employees also the chance to react and to take part in it. I mean, that's from my professional view, out of communication, that's it's just the right thing.
Exactly, absolutely.
Well, now that you mention it, actually, at the moment, my team is sitting downstairs talking about what we need to do, should we improve our product next, because we recently came off certain rollouts where we introduced our application into new countries, and this is where they can bring themselves in and shape what the product will look like moving forward.
But I hope that your team is also taking a short break right now and have tuned in here to see you. I mean, to see us. I hope so. So the next question is, what challenges did ALDI encounter during the transformation and how were they addressed?
So it's a structural reorganization as well. So you can't just apply Agile and have everyone apply daily stand-ups and stuff like that. You need to set up the organizational structure accordingly. And this is what I said previously, that we started out with reorganizing towards a product-driven organization and then really get the team applying the Agile methodologies. If you do it the other way around, it's very difficult for them because they're working in a construct that is not facilitating Agile ways of working, and they're constantly in a battle that they need to overcome to have these waterfallish like structures, and they need to really like work around that, and that is not working. So at first, you really need to look into the organization, how it's set up, and then really see how you apply the methodology.
Yes, that makes sense, yeah.
Doesn't it? Yeah. So it's a smart move.
Yeah, I'm learning so much today, you can't imagine, actually. So is agility done in a push or because there are certain problems?
Well, there's two sides, right? You, as we mentioned, you've got teams who like from out of themselves grew into the Agile setups, but there's also certain scenarios where we just see, look, it just from the top, it just makes sense to go down the Agile road to improve like how we work, how we deliver our solutions to the customers in the end.
So that are certain characters who are Agile right now and who just motivate the others in the team, and the teams are motivating the others, and so it's
contagious.
It's just spreading.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the thing. It's a good virus for once, and this is really like what we already said when we were talking of what kind of people we would love to see in our organization. These are the people we want to see. These are the drivers who really like embody the Agile mindset and really spread that across the organization and are self-empowered, but also help other people empower themselves and become really, really strong in that figure. And it only will happen if we do that bottom up as well, of course.
I think it's worth emphasizing that everybody here in the company is super helpful. Like everybody's reaching out their hands. And to give you one example, some years ago, our customer interaction colleagues were starting their journey to become Agile. And we did provide shadowing to their new Scrum Masters at the time. Well, recently we got the payback. We actually want to look into how they're working nowadays because they've adopted, for example, scaled Agile frameworks. And now our Scrum Master had the chance, and my staff had the chance to take a look at how they're working and take the best bits and pieces out of it.
So to say, we need or we hope to have some Agilist influencers or Agile influencers.
Absolutely. It's
can
about
we
the mindset.
Say that?
Yeah, it's like I don't think it has a bad connotation to that. I think it is quite valid to say that you're an influencer and you need to be an ambassador for that as well.
Yeah, ambassador. I think that's
let's call it ambassador.
Yeah, that's the right word.
True. Let's do it.
Yeah. And do you have to convince people to work Agile? If yes, how do you do it?
Yeah, to be honest, we have to do that because people tend to like their rituals, their way of working, they apply it, and they really put much effort into learning the way they are working right now. And of course, if somebody says, no, you have to do it in another way, some people get intimidated by that. And again, it's about upskilling. It's again about being transparent and not really leaving them alone with their concerns, but really providing them open feedback session, but also anonymous feedback formats. For example, we have a Menti where you don't really put yourself on the spot and tell everyone, I'm sorry, I feel uncomfortable with what is happening right now, but be able that your voice is heard, even in an anonymous way, is I think very helpful at that point. Hopefully at some point in the future everyone is very vocal about that and will utter that in direct communication, but for the time being we really want to provide that safe space for those people who really need to work their way into the Agile mindset yet, and you really need to cater towards these different people and have everyone included in the journey.
Yeah, everyone is different and everyone needs well, their own time to get on a journey.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's great that you, well, take care of everybody in
Yeah,
the unit,
Yeah,
right?
we try.
And maybe to sum up our whole conversation here, and maybe every one of you could answer it. What does Agile mean to you personally, and what does Agile mean for Aldi?
So I have a kind of individual definition of collaboration because basically the format which I love the most, which is a classic Agile format, is our dailies. I really love our dailies because they are a perfect way to set the tone for the rest of the day. And it's so much fun together with the team and really have a quick checkup on each other. What did they do yesterday? Did they have a nice evening? And really gives you impression, not only impression, I guess it's very true, that you know that the people are caring for you and you are caring for the people. And this is what really collaboration is for me about. It's not like exchanging information, but really having people who have your back at the end of the day. This is like the most exciting part of that for me.
Yeah, what does it mean for you?
Well, the thing that I really, really like about working Agile is the collaboration as well. So actually working together in a way that is looking at, providing value, supporting our end users. This is really what makes it a lot of fun. And technology is also something which plays a big role, having the possibility to run a test automation suite in a couple hours because you're able to use containerization, these kind of things. So there's definitely areas in there as well which I really enjoy.
Yeah, but people aspect, that's something that you two just always put out in our whole conversation. So people need people to achieve big things, right?
Definitely.
Oh, that's nice. You put that very
Yeah,
nicely.
and agile
Exactly.
transformation is a huge thing.
It's I think in our D&H one of the major challenges you can currently face, I guess. This is like everyone is kind of aspiring it, but you really have to put your money to your mouth. It's like really you have to walk the walk and it's just talk the talk.
Yeah, walk the talk. Right? Yeah, and we are getting more, emotional or personal right now. So a question for you too. What are the key aspects of an agile mindset in your opinion?
It's like open-mindedness, embracing change. Stagnation is really like counterproductive to an agilization. It's not like really finding the perfect solution in an agile world. It's not about that. I've worked a lot of years in the waterfallish approach, basically mainly focusing on PMI, which is very structured, and everyone tells you at what point you have to do what kind of steps, and this gives you kind of security as well. It's not like it's not a bad thing per se, but really being able to adapt to change really quickly. This is the new way of working, and you really should embrace that. That is really the agile mindset.
And what do you think?
Still taking the operational view on things, like what is really important is you build it, you run it. This is like an aspect that is required. This is your product, this is your baby. You need to move it forward. You have to make sure that it provides value to your customers in the end.
Yeah, that's a nice statement, yeah, from you too. And coming back more to the technical perspective, do you have ways to implement rapid prototyping?
Maybe you should answer that.
Yeah, well, of course, there's different levels to that. We definitely make use of different levels of making visible what we are going to want to do with the requirements that we got from our key users, of that the PO did envision for the product. So at certain stages, we make use of wireframes, we use mockups, we even use quickly coded prototypes of certain things. But in the end, I think the overall approach with Scrum already allows you to kind of, in short cycles, provide something that then can be tried out by the business in order to find out, is your thesis right? Is your business case, does it uphold? And with that cycle, you're then able to adapt quickly. So if the feedback is potentially bad, you can change. If it's good, move on.
Yes, we are always continuously changing and finding the best solution. Yeah. And what approach do you have for CI and CD? It means continuous integration and continuous delivery. I think you two just understood what I said, but
Definitely.
I needed that definition.
So we definitely make use of CI and CD. So we've got the fully automated build and delivery pipeline. As I mentioned earlier, we able to roll out after every sprint. However, we try to kind of combine together what we deliver. So at the moment, the basic approach is every 3 sprints, meaning 9 weeks, we will provide a new version into the production environment. And with that, also, I think, which is a quite important thing to consider, is that our end users are able to keep up with the change, because they, of course, have a day-to-day business as well.
Yeah, and how can an organization support the process of relearning and rethinking when we're talking about the huge transformation?
I wanted to bring it on something you said earlier. I think going back also to the people that find themselves in a position where they're not too keen on moving into this new way of working. For us, a recent experience was that you can train them on the methodology. You can train them on what tools you use. You can do the change management. Communicate as much as possible. But at some point in time, you maybe just have to have them try it out, see what it does for them, and it either will take them or not.
Yeah, and if I may add to that, I think it's a lot about also allowing for failure. If you have constant the worries that whatever you do might have consequences, this is not really nurturing in that environment. So failure culture, where we allow people to experiment, and what we basically see in the Agile Manifest is like really fail fast, really like not like riding a horse till it's till it's dead for years and years, but really see how new ways of working might work. And if you see it's not working, move on, try another one, and really don't get punished for a wrong turn you took at some point. You will have always colleagues who will help you get on track again.
Yeah, you just described our working culture perfectly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm totally advocating that. It's really, really true. This is what makes me happy every morning when I wake up, and I'm looking forward, as I said, to my dailies, and I see the team, and this is like so empowering to have people who are on the same mission with you and supporting you in that.
Yeah, to see people who are living it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, and do you find your own way to work with many teams, or do you use frameworks?
Well, as I mentioned in the area of customer interaction, we make use of agile scaling frameworks such as SAFe or the Spotify model, which in some regards are maybe not seen as a real agile scaling framework, but adapt what it is stating. In other areas, definitely you need to look out for your dependencies, and something like a change advisory board for operational changes. These kind of things are required as well.
Yeah, and how do you manage documentation and test scenarios in the agile methodology?
Well, as I said, we put a lot of emphasis on trying to automate testing as much as possible. Of course, with the coding guidelines, everything, the test automation itself is like some sort of documentation. The user stories themselves contain acceptance criteria to then help, on the one hand, developing the actual functionality, but also helping with defining what could the test cases look like for this particular functionality. For the end users, we have, of course, things like manuals for the different software applications, and also we make use of videos or solutions that are kind of guiding the user through the application when new stuff is being introduced.
And how do you measure the effectiveness and the progress of the transformation?
So on one hand, of course, you have to define a certain set of KPIs, which are basically measured on an economic level. Let's say that. But you also have these soft measures. You really, we, for example, have monthly surveys. We really check in with our employees and see what is currently moving them, what makes them happy, but also what are their concerns at that point. And this really gives us transparency to cater towards that as well, of course. So this is also part where we see, for example, we are asking for how's your overall attitude? Do you feel comfortable with the current journey? And if we see basically the KPIs going up in that area, this is where we are looking for. So this is how we measure how the acceptance of the overall transformation is within the workforce.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, there are for sure some, I mean, you see it in your KPIs, how the scale is going.
And
like
there's some
that.
seasonality, exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take 2 steps ahead and then you move a step back again because there was more extensive change you had to implement at some point in time, and that drove the people a little bit back again. But as long as you see a trend going upwards, then I guess you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, so to say, you're staying agile in the process of the agile transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah? Just to put it in that kind of words. And how do you see agility helping the visualization of ROI? I'm sure you know what that means because I'm not. Of any project for ALDI.
Well, you make a thesis about what you want to implement and what would be the return on invest, right? And agility is a way of finding out very quickly if your thesis is right. You can provide a functionality quite quickly in the most minimal way, like the MVP should like, and then with that you can then identify, is it what I'm striving for? Does it return what I've thought it will return? And based on that you can change course if necessary.
Exactly, and if you combine that basically with visualization regarding dashboards, for example, this is quite a cool way to really have real-time data like feeding into these dashboards, and everyone basically can see how the teams are performing and if that is basically working towards your ROI or if it is diminishing it.
Yeah, and we just talked a lot about processes. So I have that statement here on my screen. That's a really nice question. And I think it's a really nice question to answer for you. So the statement says, people over processes. Would you and ALDI agree on that?
We're not there yet, to be honest. We have a lot of processes in place. Basically, it's our legacy. We are currently dealing that, but we want to basically to some extent replace the processes with the people. And this is really important to give them self-organization, give them the autonomy to work in a certain way. Like just giving them basically the target, but how they reach their goal is totally at their discretion. And this is basically not where we are yet there at that point. Some teams are more than the others, but I think this is really helpful to give them really a safe space where they can play around and see what's working for them. However, of course, as we already said, we have a hybrid approach. We need to have certain processes in place to make the information comparable across the different entities, and of course have certain KPIs tracked, have certain reporting lines catered towards, but the autonomy within the teams and give them a safe space, I think that's the main part that helps.
And what would you say, Julian?
I would fully advocate for people or processes. People in the end make it everything possible. So if you got the right people at the right point in time with the right mindsets, you can get nearly everything done. That's my opinion on that. At the same time, however, I think certain things need to be put into processes so that it can take off, ideally, some weight off the people. So if something's very standardized and always the same, put it into a process. Just make it as automatic as possible so that you can just use it when you need it, don't need to worry about it, and you can actually focus on what you really want to do with your product.
But isn't it that we people need some processes?
I love processes, to be honest. I really, it gives you a security, and as Julian already said, automation already always is also a thing where you don't need to put your effort into that. It works automatically. We don't really want to copy and paste data from one Excel into the other. This is a thing we don't need to do anymore. And if you can utilize that, of course you should do that. Of course there are some people who like to do this stuff. They have these Excels, they have them set up in a certain way, and really now need to embrace new areas within their work routine. But as soon as you convince them, they're working much more efficiently.
Yeah, and we've talked about the IT processes, but when we talk about the hiring process, does this agile transformation affect the hiring process?
Well, in that regard, regarding the roles that we need, it's like, I think the process is quite similar. However, with these formats, it's quite new to ALDI as well. Having a live stream and communicating on what is happening within the agilization path, this is very transparent. I think that really advocates on how we're really living the agile way of working and not just having written on paper. But the main change is, of course, the roles which we are currently searching for in the market.
Yeah, I mean, the agile transformation is actually that what we are doing right now, to have that live stream in our job, as just like you mentioned.
Exactly.
Yeah, we are not looking for new roles. We are also going new ways.
True. Very true.
And yes, so I think, well, we are not running out of time. We are just over time, actually. We got so many questions, and it was so, interesting what questions you had. And yes, I thank you all for joining us today. And yes, with that lot of questions, I'm quite sure that you enjoyed our content that we shared here. And I would also like to say a big thank you to my amazing colleagues,
Thank you for having
to
us.
my agile
So
influencers. If I might call you that.
Exactly.
So thank you, Marcella and Julian, for being here with me today and talk with me today about that topic. And yes, we also want to thank you, our viewers, for your engaging questions and comments again here. We really appreciate your active participation. And yes, our conversation doesn't have to end here. So feel free to stay in touch with us on all our social media platforms. And also check out our career website, where you will find all information about jobs and everyday work at ALDI South IT. And yes, just check it out and look at the roles that we need for our agile transformation, because we don't need just roles, we need you. We need people, like we mentioned here in our conversation. People need people to achieve big things, and that agile transformation is a huge thing. So we need you. And yes, and now back to our live stream series, ALDI Deep Dive Live. Yeah, we really enjoyed it here with you, and I'm very afraid to say that this was our last stream for now, but I'm sure we will come back to you, and well, just stay tuned for more exciting content coming your way. And until then, take care and goodbye, and yeah, see you. I mean, there are possibly so many new colleagues out there, and we hope to see you here in our office at Mülheim and in Düsseldorf and all the other offices. So goodbye.
Bye.